So I reached out to Sergio Oliva Jr. to find out what he's really been up to and what the year 2023 looks like for him. When asked about his stay in Dubai and his plans on competing this year, Sergio mentioned that he moved to Dubai a year ago to get ready for his next show, which he hopes to do one very soon, and to qualify for the Mr. Olympia, which he says is always the goal. Now, when asked how the bodybuilder got into the sport, this is what he had to say. Check it out.
My father didn't want me to do bodybuilding. I got into it on my own. I used to do sports that you actually had to try and lose weight for, like wrestling and swimming and water polo and track. And then one day I just started working out for the first time. I didn't touch a weight until I was about 20. And then after that, I fell in love with it and didn't want to run track and play team sports anymore. And I moved to Florida to pursue my bodybuilding career. And that's where I did the first 8 years of my career, was in Florida.
When Oliva Jr. was asked what his future looks like in the bodybuilding industry and his thoughts on bodybuilding news and why there is so much negativity in the news, this is what he had to say.
Future goals of the sport I would love to win the Arnold, be a goal of mine for sure. And then after I'm retired and not competing anymore, I would love to still be a part of bodybuilding. I'd love to be a commentator. I'd love to put on shows and be a promoter. I feel like today there's a lot of bodybuilders that are involved with the sport, but they're so one-sided or one-dimensional with their era being the best that they don't even realize that they're kind of bashing the sport. And it's not making anyone ever want to become a bodybuilder, listening to people like Sean Ray. And unfortunately, there's just a lot of negativity everywhere because that's what gets views. If you post something saying, hey, wow, look, this person looks great, you'll get a few views and a few likes. If you post something about someone having some kind of marital affair or even just any kind of personal issues, stuff that people would not want their life to be posted about, you post that, you're going to get a ton of views. You're going to get a ton of likes. You're going to get a ton of people really deep down that are unhappy with their own life and they're looking for failures and negativity in others to make themselves feel better about their life. And unfortunately, that's just how the whole world is. TMZ is TMZ for a reason. People are following fake news more than they are the real news. So I think it's just everywhere, and we just see a big part of it in the fitness community. So shout out to the people who still doing reports and things on actual events and shows and real information, not just clickbait.
Now, this is something that I completely agree with. I believe that there's so much negativity in bodybuilding news today that so many people are getting caught up on their era of bodybuilding that they don't really understand that there is always room for growth. Now, bodybuilding is forever evolving, and that is a good thing about the industry. There is always things to improve on, and there's always ways to think, this works, this doesn't, get rid of it, bring this back. That's anything. So I do believe that all the negativity needs to stop, and we need to promote more positivity in the sport to bring more people to it. I'll take it back to the 70s, back in Arnold's era. People loved amateur bodybuilding. I do believe more people need to follow amateur bodybuilding because that is where the struggle lies. The struggle to pro is the beauty of the sport. We need to get back to the place where we fell in love with the sport in the first place. It's not always about where we are, it's about how we get there. Now, if you didn't know, Sergio Oliva Jr. played his father in the 2018 film Bigger, which was a story based on Joe Weider's life and how he formed the magazine and the Mr. Olympia. So I wanted to know if Sergio Oliva had plans to do any more films in the future. And this is what he had to say.
I would love to do more movies. I thought it was very cool to be able to play my father in the movie Bigger. It's just a really cool dynamic. I don't think a lot of people have ever been able to do that. I wish I was able to do some speaking roles, but when that movie actually took place, my dad barely spoke English. So it was kind of actually accurate that he didn't really speak much for me not to have any lines in it. But it was really cool just to be a part of a major movie and see how things are done. That's actually my favorite thing in the world besides comic books is movies. I'm a huge movie buff. I worked at Blockbuster my whole life in Hollywood Video. So being a part of a movie after being such a movie buff was actually a great event in my life.
When asked what advice he would give to young Sergio, he stated that he would tell himself to spend more time eating food rather than looking for the next supplement to replace food. The IFBB Pro says that he still struggles today eating, but it was way worse when he was younger. He mentioned he used to work at a supplement store and he would always look for calorie shakes or a supplement that would replace food. But once he really tried to eat 2 to 3 times a day, that's when he started seeing real weight gain. And it had been more weight than he had ever put on in his entire career. So kids, eat your food. Now here's what Sergio has to say to his fans. Have a listen.
I would just like to tell my fans and my supporters that I really appreciate them. I think it's difficult to be a fan of mine. Not like I'm difficult, but you get a lot of negativity from other people. I think rooting for me sometimes asks for a lot of backlash. I think the idea of me doing well or making it in this sport is kind of impossible. It's never happened before. I don't think there ever will be another child of Mr. Olympia ever to even try and go pro, let alone win the Olympia. So I get it. It's understandable. The chances of it happening just seem like impossible. And throw in that I don't sugarcoat anything and I don't really care about making people feel like there's a Santa Claus when there's not. So that only adds more fuel into the fire. So if I have people that stick up for me, you really are a real fan, because it's very easy to say I'll never do something, and it's very difficult to root for me. So thank you for sticking with me. My real fans know that I didn't even start lifting weights until I was older. I didn't win my pro card until I was older. So people need to understand there's a difference between age and mileage. There's a lot of people who are young and have a lot of mileage. There's a lot of people like Sean Roden and Dexter who were able to be older, but the wear and tear that they put on their body throughout their career was way less than everybody else, and that's why they were able to keep doing it, and that's why Sean has the record for winning at the oldest age possible. So I would like that to be me. I'd like to be an example of that doing show after show after show for Instagram followers does nothing for you.
But who does Sergio think's going to win the Arnold this year?
I actually don't know who's going to win the Arnold. I think this is going to be very crazy to see. I think there's a lot of new aspects that are going into the show that I just don't know. I think Andrew now being with my coach, Chris Aceto, I just can't not see him being 50% better. I was with his last coach, and obviously I'm with Aceto now, so I know how he works, and I know the detail that he's so strict with. So I would imagine that Andrew's going to be way better than he was at the Olympia. And if he was way better at the Olympia, then you would have had him and Samson battling it out. I'd like to see what Bonaka's going to do. I think he's a great bodybuilder and a great person. I really hope for the best for him. But I don't think Rami's going to look that much different. And I think it's just going to be Nick, Samson, and Andrew.
Now, before we close out this segment, let's find out what Sergio Oliva has to say about life and bodybuilding news media.
Just wanted to say a shout out to you for having a platform that actually covers everything, including other platforms. It's very rare to ask for enemies of people who love to attack and discriminate and pretty much break you down. So for you to be doing reports on people who are liars and just really shit scum of this industry and literally make money off of the downfalls of other people, I think it's really great. And that's probably the best thing that I've seen from your page, is that no one is not going to be covered. I think you show all sides of this industry, and I think that's really how we're all going to learn. Fans coming up in the sport should want to know, even when their favorites, YouTubers, are also doing wrong.
You heard it, folks. IFBB pros all over are saying that this is the bodybuilding platform. So if you're not already, go ahead, follow this page, follow us on YouTube at Life and Bodybuilding. That being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments. What do you think of Sergio's goals for 2023? And do you think that there needs to be more positive news coverage in the industry? Let me know in the comments. See ya.